This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good evening, I'm Ezra Zaid.
And I am Umar Pagan Ampake Pagan.
Now, this evening we're going to be speaking about the Malaysian creative economy. Now, a new chapter in creative events has arrived, the Visual Arts Expo 2015. That takes place on the 22nd and 23rd of August this year. It aims to be the premier location for creatives to network and collaborate on ideas, design and content creation. Here in studio to tell us more about the Malaysian creative economy and the Visual Arts Expo are Fazri, Nuha, Yusof, project director, as well as Christopher Lau, director of business development. Guys, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Good to be here.
Tell us, where is Malaysia in terms of its creative industries? Maybe you can just give us a primer on where things are.
Currently, the creative industry here is actually very young. It's in its infancy stage, so to speak. From our last research with the MSc, particularly with MDEC, they listed about 200 creative companies. Most of them are still very small. A bulk of them are startups, and the capital is not that big.
So when you say 200 creative companies, define that. Is it gaming, movie making, television production?
That's right.
It's all of the above.
It all falls under the creative multimedia cluster. So we're talking filmmakers, VFX, animation, game dev, mobile apps, these kind of creative content creators. So as of the last statistics was from 2009. So we're looking at about 2.4% contribution to the GDP. So it's actually still very young.
Actually, it's 1.27%.
There you go.
During 2009, which translates to 9.4 billion ringgit. More or less. So that's the contribution to the gross national income, right? And the government is actually trying to push by 2020 to actually increase it to 5.8%. So how are we going to increase that?
That's a large increase in just 4 years.
Yes.
Very ambitious.
But given those stats were from 2009, I mean, we're seeing at least in the past, I mean, we're 2015 now, there's been quite a few years, a lot of, startups and tech companies have emerged. And are you optimistic about where things are within the industry itself?
Well, currently, as what Fazri has mentioned, we are still in a very early stage of development because we have multiple agencies, we have a lot of corporates actually pushing for the local startups, local creative startups to actually be more than what they can be. So they could actually go overseas to actually promote their products, especially with the work of MDEC.
MDEC has been actively pushing on this sector. What they are trying to do is actually to sell Malaysian talent to foreign creatives in a way that, like, we are looking for VFX artists,
right.
For example, the studio in Hollywood, and they would look to foreign countries. Used to be China.
Yeah.
Then China got expensive.
And then went to India.
They went to India, and then they went to South Korea.
Yeah.
And then eventually the eyes turned here because over here it becomes more affordable, and the talents are actually really, really good. It's just that they are not really exposed to the world yet.
So actually, Fazri, talk to us about talent and how good we are.
We are really good.
It's good to know.
There's a very poor way of describing it. To date, there are at least 45,000 creative talents working in the industry. Among those, they have worked in Hollywood productions. They have worked in tier 1 video game companies. Some of them have outsourced to Electronic Arts, to Valve, to Bandai. And these are really big productions.
Yeah.
And in some productions, you can see Malaysian names in those credits. So they are really good. They're waiting to be discovered. Number one, they're waiting to be discovered. Number two, they are very limited in terms of their resources and in terms of the capacity that they can have. 45,000 is not a lot, really. If you're looking at the big picture, it's not. But the demand is there. It's just that it takes some time to grow this talent, to put them in an industry where there is potential for growth.
And when you say the demand is there, is that coming from our local market or is it coming from regional and international?
Regional and internationally speaking, yes.
Yeah, and is that a reason why local markets may not necessarily be responding as much? Is there an educational process that needs to take place towards some of the local players to see what actually we have to offer?
Actually, yes, that's absolutely correct. When we talk to the average Joe on the street, right, and we ask them, do you know any Malaysian animation studios? Chances are they'll only be able to name a few. They'll be able to name Lekopak because they did Upipin.
Yeah.
They'll be able to name Animonstar because they did Bobo Boy. And chances are they'll be able to name Glue Studio because they did Rimba Racer recently. But as I mentioned, there's like 200 of those.
Yeah.
So awareness among the local communities is very low. So a lot of them don't know that, they are actually creative talents.
But of course, a lot of them are doing work for overseas as well. Now, is that because locals just don't pay as well?
That's also true. I was a bit hesitant to bring that up, but since you have, okay, sure, then we can go in that angle, which is also very true. There is I can cite an example. It's a bit of a long one. So one of the bigger animation productions, this was way back in 2008. They produced 20 episodes of 2-minute shorts, okay, for Ramadan. And originally, it was offered to one of our local broadcasters. So 20 episodes, and this broadcaster was only willing to pay 90,000 ringgit.
For all 20?
For all 20
episodes.
Now, 90,000 ringgit, how much would that actually get you? Like, half an episode, one episode? Tell me how much.
We're talking 2-minute shorts,
right.
Okay? 20 episodes of those. Let's break it down. That's about 4,500 per episode, maybe less.
Yeah.
Okay? And in one episode, it's not just 2 or 3 animators. There's like dozens of staff.
Sure.
So that is a really unfair bargain.
Well, there's the staff, editors, VO talent.
That's right.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
And to put things in perspective, like for example in Japan, how the animation industry work in Japan is it's pretty interesting because for an episode, the cost will set you back from $500,000 to up to $2 million. That's how much people are actually investing in it for an episode. And a season, there's 12, 13 episodes. So imagine how much money that actually people would willing to throw in, to invest in such IPs. But locally, it
doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah.
As a result, actually, it puts our creative studios in a bit of a pinch. Because the broadcasters here are not so keen on paying a high price. So they are limited to say, this production is budgeted at 90,000 ringgit for 20 episodes. If they go to Singapore, okay, how much is the production value? And if they say 90,000 ringgit, why is it so cheap?
Right.
Are you sure it's really high quality?
Yeah.
So it's really hard for them to grow out if they can't have a steady financial foundation to build on.
All right, we're going to continue talking about the Malaysian creative economy. Of course, the Visual Arts Expo is happening on the 22nd to 23rd of August 2015. Head over to visualartsexpo.com for more information. We'll continue speaking to our guests about that. This is the evening edition, BFM 89.9. Here on the evening edition, you're with Uma and Ezra. In the studio with us is Fazri, Nuha, Yusof, Project Director, as well as Christopher Lau, Director of Business Development. We're going to be speaking a little bit about the Visual Arts Expo 2015 that's happening from the 22nd to 23rd of August. And of course, for more information, head over to visualartsexpo.com. We're speaking about the Malaysian creative economy, and the guys are providing us some insights as to the temperature as to where things are. So how, if you were to describe the current scenario about our industry, are people flocking to Cyberjaya? Are people flocking to sort of, make amazing things? What are the obstacles? What are the support systems in place right now?
So when it comes to Cyberjaya, it's a very funny environment when it comes to Cyberjaya. It's just started to grow recently with a lot of new developments. Previously, it wasn't like that. So prospects of moving to Cyberjaya were very low. So back then, the only reason to move to Cyberjaya was to gain MSc status from MDEC.
And if you were part of some incubator?
Not necessarily. As long as you're based in Cyberjaya or any one of the MSc cyber centers, last I checked, you're qualified to be to register to sign up as an MSc status company. What you get out of that is the 10-year tax break. if you are an IT or a creative multimedia cluster company. So that was it back then. Otherwise, back then there was absolutely no reason to move Cyberjaya. Rent was expensive. There was hardly any entertainment. There was no food.
But given those incentives,
now,
were people moving there anyway?
People were.
Okay.
People were aiming for that tax break incentive. But now people are slowly moving towards Cyberjaya. One of the bigger movers there was KRU Productions. They have a really big studio there. A lot of incubators, startups start there. There's Magic, there's Mac3, which is under MDEC. So a lot of startups actually set up shop there, and eventually they graduate from the program and go on to set up their own shops.
And let's not forget My Creative as well.
So My Creative is an agency that provides grants and loans to these kind of startups, provided that they deliver on their content. So the terms of their loans vary between the different programs that they have. So when it comes to flocking to Cyberjaya, I wouldn't say so. But gradually moving there, yes. Because currently the facilities have started to really mature.
So we have some pretty massive global players coming down south in Singapore. Disney Animation, Lucasfilm, is EA there as well, Electronic Arts, I think so.
Ubisoft even.
Ubisoft, massive players who seem to be, looking for great talent.
That's right.
Why aren't they here?
Well,
do we know?
Well, it's all comes down to dollars and cents. Well, Singapore, major companies, they look at Singapore as the regional hub for them to actually step into Southeast Asia.
Right.
So with Singapore, we have talents coming in from all over the place, from Malaysia, from Thailand, Indonesia. And the companies feel that Singapore is that central little hub right there. But unfortunately, what we think is that Singapore, yes, it's a good place, but for a company to come in, it's really, really expensive. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to encourage companies overseas to set up shop here in Malaysia as well, because, the cost is way cheaper, and we have tons and tons of very talented people.
Yeah, because our talented people are going to Singapore right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So is it a question of we're just not selling ourselves well enough to the rest of the world and say, hey, Malaysia, look at this?
That's one thing. The other thing is it's the environment, or should I say the ecosystem, is not very encouraging to the fresh graduates, the young talents, because their pay is horrible. Their pay is horrible. I'm a design graduate myself, and my peers who do VFX, my peers who do filmmaking, CG, their starting pay is like 2K less ringgit. You know, you go to Singapore, you get 3 times, 4 times the pay, provided, of course, your portfolio is good lah. But the draw is there.
But that's at 2K. That's less than a starting salary of a government teacher. It's less than a starting salary of a banker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So their talents go underappreciated. And it's not exactly the studio's fault, because the studios themselves can hardly fund their own business operations.
Right.
How can you afford to pay these graduates, what they deserve?
So what's been promising about, you mentioned some of these clusters that have emerged and set up shop in Cyberjaya. And because of that, what has been promising? Are there particular changes or initiatives or policies that are encouraging people to move there? And also, what has come out of it?
If we're talking about government policies, it's definitely the initiative started by MDEC. Matching new startups with investors. Even Cradle has been doing that as well. They have annually they have IPCC, which is I think intellectual property creative contest. I think so. Every year they will host this contest, and they encourage every studio, even if you're not a registered company yet, to come up with an IP. You pitch, and if you win, you get, I think, about 60,000 ringgit grant to start on it, or at the very least to launch your company.
So it sounds like there's some effort of connecting the T's and the dots.
There is. But there are the kind of angle that has been done so far has been very inward looking, so to speak. So MDEC has initiated a lot of these kind of business matching activities, but they only tend to bring in studios that are already here. So most of the guys here, they already know each other. You've been to one or two of these creative events. You've been to them all because it's the same person over and over again. But that does not really encourage them to grow out of the country. So you connect them with each other, which is great. You match them with the local investors, great. But then you're only limited to the pool within Malaysia.
Yeah.
So it gets a bit tricky to go out.
And what strategies could be in place to make those connections beyond our shores?
Other than the Visual Arts Expo 2015.
Yes, of course.
I think a good way to go about it is to actually for government agencies to initiate relationships with the publishers and the studios from overseas. We're talking like Hollywood publishers, European, even Chinese, like Hong Kong, Taiwan, mainland China, Japan. These publishers are the ones who actually invest and hold the rights to all these various IPs. So engaging with them directly and inviting them in, exposing them to the kind of talent pool that we have, I think would be a really good start.
All right, we're speaking with Fazri, Nuha, Yusof, Project Director, and Christopher Lau, Director of Business Development. After this, we find out all about Visual Arts Expo 2015. It's happening on the 22nd to 23rd of August 2015. Of course, visualartsexpo.com is the website to find out more information. We'll be right back after this, right here on BFM 89.9. The evening edition, you're with Uma and Ezra. This evening, we've been speaking about the Malaysian creative economy. And of course, we'll be speaking a little bit more about the Visual Arts Expo 2015 that's happening on the 22nd to 23rd of August. That's this month. More information can be found at visualartsexpo.com. In the studio with us is Fazri, Nuha, Yusof, Project Director, as well as Christopher Lau, Director of Business Development. And of course, Uma, you had some questions, I guess, about some of our success stories as well.
Yeah, we've been talking so much about where the local talent scene and everything that's been going on in Malaysia and Singapore and how the pay is so rubbish and where the fresh graduates lie. But talk to us about some of these local success stories. I mean, the Malaysian companies have been quite a few, besides the Upin and Ipins and the Bobo Boys, who've actually made it really big.
The first example I would say is actually Silver Ant. Silver Ant is a studio based in PJ. And recently they have created a joint venture with a studio in Japan called Polygon Pictures.
Right.
So Polygon Pictures is largely a CG-based studio. So when they came here, they formed a new JV company. So it's called Silver Ant PPI.
Right.
Okay, Polygon Pictures Inc. And one of their more recent success stories is that it was a collaboration to produce a anime series adapted from a comic, a manga called Knights of Sidonia.
I know it. It's very popular, yeah.
Yeah. So Knights of Sidonia is not like your traditional hand-drawn anime. It's fully CG. So the character animation is done in Japan. But the mecha and space battles and ships and lasers, they're all done in Malaysia by Malaysian. So if you and that show is actually available on Netflix. So if you watch it at the end credits, you'll see Malaysian names there.
Nice.
In the CG production credits.
Nice.
So Malaysian companies, they have been running for 2 seasons, and now they have actually a theatrical production of that series.
Very nice.
So that's one. Number 2 is a studio called Lemon Sky. So Lemon Sky is a full CG company. They have been contracted with EA, with Rockstar, with Bandai Namco. So they did the CG for a lot of video games. They did for Gears of War. They did for this game called Tales of the World, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And Tekken. Yeah, nice. So they did a lot of CG work.
Classic Tekken.
They don't do the actual game dev, but they provide the CG that goes with the game engine.
Now, for these two success stories that you mentioned, I mean, certainly luck and timing and opportunity, plays a hand in this. But what were some of the ingredients that these companies did do right to land themselves these types of opportunities?
I think it has a lot to do with networking. Networking, putting yourself out there, showing off what you can do,
right,
and showing off how attractive it would be for these foreigners to invest in a local talent pool. So either it can be a financially attractive, or it can be creatively attractive in the sense that our talents are really that good.
Well, so yeah, I mean that's the question, right? So it's not just low cost. I mean, it's also because we're on par, if not better.
That's right. That's exactly correct.
Yeah. Very good. That's phenomenal news.
And so in those scenarios, is it a case where a lot of these companies have to have, I guess, a portfolio of stuff that they can show off? I mean, stuff that they've made for fun, so they can kind of give these, creative content guys, some
calling card.
idea. Yeah, a calling card almost, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, without that portfolio, how else are you going to prove that you're as good as you say, right?
Yeah.
So it's either something they did for fun, fan trailers, even CG demos, that kind of thing.
And then, of course, there was also the War of the Worlds Goliath that came in at the 3D Animation Festival.
Right.
About a couple of years ago now, wasn't it?
Yep. That was also done by a Malaysian company. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. But a friend of mine actually worked at the company. So she did the editing for that as part of what the company is contracted to do.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So the success stories are there. There's another animation company that did Saladin, which, although it never found success here, the TV station Al Jazeera actually picked it up, invested in it, and broadcasted it in the Middle East. And it ran for at least 2 seasons, as far as I know.
And it's one of those scenarios where, even if it doesn't quite, go on that trajectory of success, you never know when it gets picked up, a year later, 6 months later, through different, broadcasters as well.
Precisely.
Now, tell us a little bit about Visual Arts Expo 2015. What can folks expect? Who should be there? Who should sign up? And what can they look forward to?
Now, so Visual Art Expo is a 3-day event. It's going to be held at the Minds International Exhibition and Convention Center in Serdang. And for the first day, on Friday, it's going to be a business-to-business sessions. Okay, it's going to involve the local creative studios, joint investors, and the media itself.
Right.
And for Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be open to the public, and that's where the public can come in, take a look at the work, the hard blood, sweat, and tears of the creative studios we have over here, and also to basically enjoy our offerings and the guests that we're bringing in.
So each of these creative studios have booths where they're going to display all of their work.
Yes, exactly.
Very nice.
All right. And some of the guests that we're bringing in Arima Keitaro. He's a mangaka, and he'll be giving a workshop on how to draw manga.
Nice.
He is the creator of Tsukuyomi Moonface, which got made into an animation series. We have the legendary Shoji Kawamori, who is a very talented mecha designer and also a content creator. He is currently a director at Studio Satellite in Japan. We also have from Studio Gainax, the CEO, Hiroyuki Yamaga. So he'll be here to give portfolio reviews as well. And
nice.
Yeah. And not only that, we are also bringing in a band, Back On, who will be giving a special performance.
Special performance, yes.
Together with Amy Blackschlager.
Yeah.
I hope I pronounced that correctly. And also, due to popular demand, we are also bringing in Ladybeard, who is a very, very popular cosplay wrestler,
entertainer,
a
multifaceted entertainer.
Nice.
And now, so it must be a great thing for especially those within the industry, to get these kind of insights from these kind of guys. I mean, what did it take for you guys to bring these guys in?
We went to Japan.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Very nice.
And of course, I mean, they're very keen to, I guess, come over and share their knowledge, because I mean, they, I'm sure, acknowledge that this is a growing industry in this part of the world.
And a growing talent pool.
Yeah.
Yes, and they are actually very, very excited to meet the fans here. They're actually very excited to meet the fans and also the creative talent that we have over here. So they'll not only be giving workshops, some of them will be giving portfolio reviews as well. So we can bounce ideas with the Shoji Kawamori and also Hiroki Yamaga.
We are specifically inviting fresh graduates, young professionals, even startup companies. If you have character design sheet or a mecha design sheet, even a story treatment, please come sign up for the portfolio review and pitch it to these legendary creators and get feedback from them.
I think that's the most important thing.
This is easily the most important contribution that we can give to the industry.
No, the portfolio review is so crucial that if you go to any Comic-Con, for example, that's where all these budding artists go and show their work off, and they get genuine critique that is otherwise inaccessible to them in Malaysia.
That's
they
right.
Just don't have that.
They just don't get that.
I mean, showing it to your mom and asking for her opinion,
It's just not enough.
It's just not the same.
One of our guests here, his name is Shoji Kawamori. Not only is he the creator of Macross, he was also
He's a legend.
He's a legend. But there's one important thing that I think a lot of people don't know about him is that he was the guy who, back in 1979, designed the very, very first Optimus Prime toy.
Oh,
Wow, that's super cool.
I know.
Okay, so when they designed Optimus Prime as a transformable truck toy. Then they made
The cartoon series,
to sell the toy.
To sell the
So
toys, yeah.
he was the one who actually created that.
Terrific stuff. Now, if you want to have a chance to head over to the Visual Arts Expo 2015, of course, we've got a contest for you, courtesy of these two guys. We're giving away 10 pairs of 2-day tickets. You can text us the answer at 016-201-9000. And the question for you is, it's a giveaway question. When is the Visual Arts Expo 2015? When is it being held? And of course, text
We've
us
mentioned it about 7 times.
a few times this evening. 016-201-9000. Send us the dates as to when the Visual Arts Expo 2015 is taking place, and of course you can win 2-day tickets, 10 pairs we're giving away this evening. And guys, thank you very much for joining us. Wish you best of luck, and I'm sure it's going to be a great success for all of those involved in the creative gaming community. It's going to be a big weekend for you guys as well.
We hope so.
Yeah, we hope so.
VisualArtsExpo.com is the place to go. Of course, tickets are still available. It's BFM 89.9.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us on iTunes. BFM 89.9, the business station.